number one source there is monies approved by Parliament. When we say monies approved by Parliament, this is the budgetary allotment that will come from government, central government, in annual budgets as presented to Parliament for each approval. So in every year, the finance minister will put some money in the budget that will be allocated to the sports fund, and Parliament will have to approve that. We are also asking that a special sports lottery would be done. So, like we run all forms of lotteries, we are going to also run a lottery. Proceeds that will come from that lottery will be dedicated solely for the funding of what sports. So it will go into the sports fund. Of course, cost and other related things will be deducted. The fund may not run its own lottery. You may get a company to do it for you. So after cost and everything is deducted, whatever remains will go into the sports fund. Then we have the Gaming Commission. The Gaming Commission charges some fees for betting companies. And everybody knows that the sports betting companies are existing. People are betting because of sports. But sports has never benefited from the Gaming Commission since its establishment. We haven't seen any meaningful investment from the Gaming Commission into sports. Meanwhile, when the Gaming Commission was established in 2006, some of the acts that were repealed in the transitional provision included the Football Pools Authority Act, 1961 Act 78. So this was something that was generating also some funds that supported sports in many ways. This was repealed and the Gaming Commission established. Albeit, I agree that at the time the Gaming Commission was established, we didn't have Ministry of Youth and Sports. It didn't exist as a ministry because we have moved sports to education and we have moved youth to employment, labor, and so on and so forth. So we didn't have an existing Ministry of Youth and Sports. So appropriately so, the Gaming Commission was put under Ministry of Interior for them to superintend over it. Over the years, we have restored Youth and Sports Ministry in 2009 when Professor Mills became president. And it remains so all the way till 2025 when it was realigned to sports and recreation. So the thinking of also the National Democratic Congress Party, when it presented its manifesto, was to amend the act that established the Gaming Commission, that is Act 721, which was passed in 2006, to directly make it relevant to support sports development. When this was raised, some persons within the commission thought that no, they still preferred being under Interior. So what we needed to do was to pick that as another source, and a major one for that matter, because most things they do is sports related. So 10% of what they take as fees and charges on betting companies would go into the fund. We do agree that the 2026 appropriation has been done. The budget and the whatever charges they have to get, they have aligned and allotted it already. So it will be difficult to see implementation of this in 2026. So this can only happen from 2027, January, when they know that we are going into a new year, and therefore we must budget, we must plan that 10% of that component of money that comes to us will go into the sports fund. Then we have 5% of proceeds derived from sports activities at the gate. So if, for example, we organize a game against any country, the gate fee that is gotten, 5% of that will go into the fund. Any sporting activity that we do in Ghana here, 5% of whatever we get from there would have to be deposited in the sports fund that would be used in supporting. Then, when athletes get transferred from one club to the other, there is what we call the transfer fee that is paid. This money gets shared. A percentage goes to the federation, a percentage goes to maybe the club if the person belongs to a club. The country that will be providing all the support systems and what have you have not directly in any way gotten something. We think that these proceeds should also attract a 3% on the net. Parliament, in the course of looking at the bill, decided that we target the net. So 3% of the 2% of the net will go into the fund. In the same vein, when the athletes, they are outside of Ghana and they are Ghanaians, get further transfer to other clubs. Whatever it is, the net of that percentage would also come into the fund. Then sponsorship of sporting activities, 2% of proceeds derived from sponsorship of sporting activities. So we organize a president's cup. Companies come to sponsor. Whatever it is that we are able to mobilize, 2% of that should go into the fund to support the development of what? Sports. Then you have athletes who are attached and officials attached to national teams and what have you, who are given what we describe as a bonus. 0.5% of that will go into the fund. This will not be charged against the athlete though, but it will be charged against the person that is paying that one. So the athletes will get what is due them, but 0.5% of that will be calculated and be placed into the funds. Then proceeds derived from sports competition and tournament. Like we are going to the World Cup, we will get some money from our participation in the World Cup, as we did in our participation in maybe AFCONs, Women AFCON, and what have you. Every proceeds, according to Finance Minister, he thinks that 100% of what is gained out of our participation should go into the fund. Indeed, me as a minister propose a percentage. I think we proposed 10%. And we were struggling at the committee level to do that. The finance minister was gracious enough to say that no, he sees how important sports is. And so 100%, everything we get should go into the fund. That's what. So with every proceeds from sports competition and tournaments that we participate in as a country will go into the fund. So our sportsmen should now know that when they perform well, their money will not go into the consolidated fund to possibly be used for any other thing, but it will go into a fund that is dedicated for sports development. Then 5% of proceeds derived from certification of athletes, sports federations, sports professionals, sporting clubs, sport equipment, and sports logistics. The Sports Act and the regulation passed in 2023, the National Sports Authority takes fees when they certify athletes, federations, and renew their licenses and what have you. All these fees that they take, 5% of it would have to go into the fund to support development of sports. Then, advertisement of beverage. The total value that is accrued for adverts, 10% of it will also go into the sports fund. That would also be paid by the one placing the adverts. Then investment. The fund can also engage in investment. They are allowed to invest. So money that accrue to the fund from investment. Then Another one, grants, donations, gifts, and any other voluntary contributions made to the fund. And finally, any other money that become lawfully payable or vested in the board for the fund. So these are structured ways. They have looked at all the places that we could get something and avoided a tax handle. We didn't want a tax handle to be introduced so that it could burden anybody unnecessarily. So these, Raymond, are the funds. There's really nowhere in all these processes that an athlete is directly being levied. But the work of the athlete will help contribute something to the fund. And once we do this, Raymond, you will begin to see a very high possibility of the country developing specialized academicals that we will invest in so well that talent will grow. Look, it will no longer be the case that athletes will be transferred for mega fees, because we will develop our sport so well that before an athlete leaves here, that person is highly graded, data is properly collected as a result of the investment that goes in there. So the value of original transfer of even athletes from Ghana to any other place for any other rule will be high as compared to what has been happening now, where the athlete is just taking no proper data is available, so they take you to sometimes even a third-rated club in Europe. And by the next moment you hear that they are transferring that person, the value is so big. It's not because they have added anything, they have only added a certain structure and data. This we want to invest in and also develop. So when the person is even moving from Ghana originally, the value on you will be very, very high.